The Word of God makes it clear that God hates death, hates sickness, hates evil, and one day will do away with all of it. But in the meantime, here we are living in this fallen, dying world, and we are beset with evil and problems all around us. And too often those things encroach on our lives. And so, of course, Jesus Christ recognized that more than anyone. And the Word of God is filled with records that show us the mechanics of deliverance, if you will. Because God does not have carte blanche. Jesus does not have carte blanche. In other words, limitless access to just unlimited access to just get right in here and fix everything. One day they will. But right now, this is a reciprocal relationship. There's a part that we must play to receive our deliverance, and there's a part that they play to provide the deliverance. And there's a fabulous record, and my head itches, so I'm going to do that deliverance myself. In Mark chapter 5, verse 21, the woman with the issue of blood, a hemorrhaging woman. This thing is loaded. There are 5 key verses here, and they contain the simple steps to deliverance. Verse 21, Mark 5, when Jesus had again crossed over by boat to the other side of the lake, a large crowd gathered around him while he was by the lake. And they wanted more than autographs. They wanted the kind of deliverance they had been seeing him provide for people. Miracles. He raised the dead. He healed the sick. The blind saw. The mute spoke. The deaf heard. The lame walked. Then one of the synagogue rulers named Jairus came there. One of the synagogue rulers. Wow. Seeing Jesus, he fell at his feet and pleaded earnestly with him, "My little daughter is dying. Please come and put your hands on her so that she will be healed and live." That took a lot for him. The ruler of the synagogue, he fell on his face. He recognized the need, and he was willing to do anything, sacrifice his pride, his recognition, reputation, whatever. So Jesus went with him. Okay, now they're walking along. Is this guy in a hurry, or is he wanting Jesus to stop at every drive-in and smell the roses? No. This guy's in a hurry. A large crowd followed and pressed around him. What do you think Jairus thought about that? He didn't like it. He wanted to get there. And a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. She had been hemorrhaging to some degree for 12 years. Maybe you have had a situation in your life. It might be an addiction. It might be a physical problem. It might be a relational problem. And maybe it's been going on so long that you've just about given up. Not this woman. Watch. First thing she did, she recognized she had a need, and she was willing to do whatever it took. So she had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and spent all she had, but instead of getting better, she grew worse. Pretty serious situation. Nothing wrong with doctors. They do a lot of good. But in this case, they couldn't help her. A lot of people in that situation today. When she heard about Jesus, she came. Second step. First is recognize your need. The second step is recognize the true source of deliverance. For her, doctors didn't work. So she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak, his garment. Wait a minute. First of all, she's a woman, so she's, not going to be bodily picking up people in her way in the crowd. What kind of a crowd was it? It was a large crowd, and they were each intent on getting to Jesus for their own deliverance. How did she get through a crowd like that when she's a woman who's been bleeding for 12 years. Do you think it took any persistence? The next verb says that it did, but we don't see it in the English rendering of the text. But in Greek, it's a present participle. It says, verse 28, because she was thinking, not just that she thought once, oh, I think if I could get there. She had to keep thinking, if I can just get to him, if I can just touch his cloak, I'll be healed. If I can just touch his garment, I'll be healed. Why'd she think that? Look at Malachi chapter 4, verse 2, and you'll find out. It was a prophecy about the Son, S-U-N, of righteousness, Jesus, and he would have healing in the borders of his garment, which was part of their culture and so forth. But this woman, number 3, first she recognized her need. Next, she recognized the true source of deliverance. Third, she made a decision to press in to Jesus until she touched him. She would not quit. She would not settle for anything less. And she said, if I can just touch him, if I can just... That's what got her out of her bed that morning, over to the road where Jesus would be coming. And then, excuse me, and people, no, you're not getting ahead of me. Excuse me. All the way through, finally, she touched the hem of his garment. Verse 29, immediately. Maybe you couldn't hear that. Immediately, her bleeding stopped. And it says she felt in her body. The word feel is the word to know by experience. She knew, she could tell that she was freed from her suffering. Well, I have some things in my life that are still bugging me. You know what that tells me? I haven't taken hold of Jesus like I can in those situations. I get impatient sometimes. I don't like it. Jesus doesn't like it. Elizabeth doesn't like it. So I need to take hold. I need to press into more intimacy with Jesus because he has what I need to overcome that. If you have a physical malady or an addiction or whatever, recognize your need. Recognize the true source of deliverance. Make a decision to press in until you touch him, and you will receive. And if you haven't received, you have not sufficiently taken hold, don't let that discourage you, because faith grows, the word says. Immediately, she knew she was healed. Look what happens. At once, Jesus realized that power had gone out of him. He knew it. He turned around in the crowd and asked, who touched my clothes? Wait a minute. People all around him jostling, trying to get in there. This is revelation. She didn't yank on him like that on the back of his cloak when he was walking, and he just went like that. That would be obvious. Someone touched me. You almost broke my neck. No. This is revelation. And that's why his disciples said, hey, boss, everybody's crowding around you, and you're going to say, who touched me? My God, they're all trying to touch you. But Jesus kept looking around to see who had done it. Then the woman, knowing what had happened, came and fell at his feet, and trembling with fear, told him the whole truth. And he said to you, don't you ever touch me again without making an appointment. He said, daughter, your faith has healed you. He doesn't mean faith is a force. He means your faith accessed my healing power. We just read it. Power went out of Jesus. Go in peace. There's no power in faith. Faith is meeting a condition to receive the power of God. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering. How do you think she felt when she went on her way, healed after 12 years? Just so you know, Jesus continued on to Jairus' house. They got the word right then that his daughter had died. Jesus said, don't be afraid. Keep believing. And he went and raised the daughter from the dead. What need do you have in your life? Could be big to you, could be little. Jesus cares about every need, and he is sufficient to meet them all.